Good afternoon. Happy Sunday. It's Sunday, October the 4th. I haven't changed my calendar yet, so my calendar only goes to the 3rd. I need to flip the page. Um, anyway, we're going to be going over some weekly charts here for my weekly Ichimoku wrap. I hope that uh, the plane flying above finishes flying above shortly, and I hope that this records because their ticker TV is going off the air, and some of the recordings I've been trying to make haven't been working lately, so we'll see if that happens. And this is stuff from the other day on my daily wrap up. So, all right, we're going to start off with the ES. I need to switch to the continuous contract because the Z5 contract, the current contract won't draw Ichimoku charts for me. Not enough information yet. So, all right, this is it. So starting off with the ES on the weekly time frame, you see this really, I'm just showing you the big picture so we can see this fantastic uptrend that's has been in effect for quite a long time until recently. So now I'm going to zoom in. So price action is currently still in bear territory on Ichimoku terms as price action is under the cloud. And I'm going to get even a little bit closer. We see that Friday's candle made an impressive rebound off the lows. We got the jobs report, which was much worse than expected, and the market got bought made a new low and then got bought. Finished in this finished considerably higher, 1943, but failed to make a new high. So we're still in a downtrend with a lower high and a lower low. We're still under the cloud, but we see that the Chikou, this red line over here representing price time shifted 26 periods into the past, so 26 weeks into the past, bounced back out of the cloud. So that's a bullish sign. So as far as what I'm expecting going forward, we can see that we have, let me zoom in a little bit more even. We can see that we have resistance at the cloud here, the flat cloud, that's around 1960. So I wouldn't be surprised to see us trade up to that level and then potentially find resistance there. If we manage to trade up to that level and then continue higher, we have resistance at the Tenkan-sen above inside the cloud at 1969. We see on the last weekly candle last week, we did trade up into the cloud and got rejected exactly at the Tenkan-sen. So that definitely should offer resistance this week as well. And also, if you notice the Chikou over here should come into the resistance of the Kijun-sen above, which is the pink line, and that's also at that's around 1965. So we could find resistance at the anywhere in the late 60s. If we do manage to get over 1969, we could continue higher to find resistance at the Kijun-sen above, which is currently at 1982.50. And then if we manage to get over that level, that's been a difficult area. The 1980s, like 1988 in particular, also has been a difficult area to get above for several weeks. We made an attempt here after we sold off and made a tremendous bounce here. We weren't able to get over that. This new candle opened up and was unable to get over that. The same with all of these candles that tested above 1988 did not manage to close above that level. So if we do manage to get over the late 80s, then we could manage to test the top of the cloud, which is at around 2005, 2006. And then if we break over that level, then we'll be back in bull territory for the ES. So those are your sort of guidelines for the week. And then, if we continue higher above the cloud, we can expect to find resistance around 2038. And then, 2050, there's a lot of levels above in this whole consolidation zone that we could find resistance at above. But let's just first look at the cloud here at 1960 and start there. All right, let's look at crude. And I apologize, I didn't really give any downside levels for ES, but you can look at the prior downside levels yourselves. Looking at crude, we see yet another doji and a line of dojis inside between the Tenkan-sen and the Kijun-sen. Very narrow body candle. We seem to be getting tighter and tighter. Let's see, this high was 47.15, this high was 47.10, so this is an inside candle putting in a lower high and a higher low. So some sort of triangle type action, but not really that obvious is occurring, but definitely some tight consolidation. If we do break out to or if we do go higher above the current resistance level around the like 47.20 area, then we have resistance at the Kijun-sen above at 50.17, and if we do go lower, we have support at 43.54 by the Tenkan-sen. Overall, price action is still bearish under the cloud for crude. Let's look at the NASDAQ. NASDAQ, contrary to the ES, is actually back in, or has remained in bullish territory on a closing basis. It's never actually made it even into neutral on the weekly time frame, which might be surprising to you. But we are finding resistance at the Tenkan-sen above the cloud here. Tenkan-sen currently located at 42.68.63, so 42.69-ish, let's say. If we make it over 42.69, then we could continue higher to the Kijun-sen, which is currently located at 42.97.13. We do have some issues with the Chikou over here, this red line representing price time shifted 26 periods into the past. The Chikou is coming into resistance at the bottom of this candle here. In order for things to get in full bullish territory for the NASDAQ, the Chikou needs to get over the candles, so we need to really make it over say 43.88, 43.90, and if we do get over that, then it's likely that the Chikou will continue to move over the candles this way. We do have a nice rising cloud offering rising cloud support for the NASDAQ, so that in itself is pretty bullish also. Let's look at the Russell. Russell has been sort of leading things down, but we do have a very small-bodied, I don't know, potential reversal candle here. After we came down and tested the prior lows, we got a significant bounce and closed in the same range area as the prior week's candle. Closed around 11.11. We closed at 11.13. Let's see the prior candle. Closed at 11.13. Well, exactly, pretty much where last week's candle closed. So it looks to me there's a good chance that we will move higher from here. And in order to confirm a reversal, we just need a higher high and a higher low. If we do move higher, we can expect to find resistance at the cloud at 11.52, and then at the Tenkan-sen above at 11.56.70. Once we move into the cloud, if we move into the cloud, we'll be in neutral territory. Another interesting aspect to look at on the Russell is the Chikou is under the cloud here, but we have a cloud twist coming up, so that's a real a good area for the cloud, for the Chikou to possibly break through the cloud right here. So wherever there's areas like this where they twist in the cloud, it's easier for things to break either through to from upside to the from the downside to the upside or from the upside to the downside. If we do get over 1182, then we will be back in bullish territory on the Russell. Let's look at the Dow. Dow put in a very bullish hammer on Friday, or ending last week's candle. We do have resistance above at the Tenkan Sen, so very important for us to make it over 16,472. If we do make it over 16,472, we can look for 16,810 above at the Kijun Sen. Then above that, we can look at 17,052 or thereabouts, 1700s. 17,025 is resistance at the cloud above. We could have the Chikou finding resistance at the top of the cloud. That would be around here. So that's pretty much like right between the Tenkan Sen and the Kijun Sen, around 16,700. All right, let's look at some metals. Pretty interesting action last week in the metals, especially on Friday. We've had a huge bounce off the lows. But currently on gold, we're still in the middle of the Tenkan Sen and the Kijun Sen, trading in a range. Technically, we're still in a downtrend as we did not make a higher high. So we do have resistance at 1152.20 above and support at 1125. Overall, this chart is bearish in Ichimoku terms. Let's look at silver. Silver made a pretty crazy move on last week also, coming down, testing lows, and then actually putting an outside candle. So it did make a higher high, but it didn't make a higher low. Closing pretty close to the highs. We have a pretty bullish hammer, so it's possible that silver could move higher, and if it does, we do have prior resistance in around the 15, let's say, let's see what this one was, the high 1536 area, something like that. We also have, if you look back to last year and the better, all throughout 2015, we had some prior support at around this 1536 level, so that could offer resistance above. If we manage to make it above that, like say 1540 area, then we could be headed towards the 1584 Kijun Sen above, which will definitely offer resistance. But if we do make it over 1584, I would really be looking for a pretty strong move up to the cloud in silver around 1633. So that would be a very interesting development if that happens. Overall, silver is still bear territory. Let's go to some treasuries. Let's look at the 30-year Treasury bonds, EB. Treasury bonds were quite strong. Interestingly, they held up well despite a risk-on environment after we bounced off the lows on Friday. Did put in a bit of a topping tail, however. So overall, the 30-year Treasury bonds EV is bullish over the cloud, over the Tenkan Sen, over the Kijun Sen. The Tenkan Sen and Kijun Sen are confluent at the moment. Let me zoom in a little bit. So we do have support from the confluent Tenkan Sen and Kijun Sen at the, like, say, 156.18 level. So if we do trade lower, we can look at support, a couple points lower, 156.18. If we do move higher, we can look at potential resistance around 160.23, and then potentially, at this prior resistance, 164.11. I'm just looking at this horizontal resistance. And also, if the Chikou manages to break higher, we could find resistance when the Chikou comes into the bottom of these candles around 163.10, 163.11, thereabouts. The cloud ahead on ZB is moving up for the next, let's see, 1, 2, maybe 3 weeks tapering off and then moving lower into the end of the year. Something to point out, it's not as like a rising bullish cloud like we saw on like the NASDAQ or the ES. Let's look at the 10-year.